Homeworthy, you found us in sunny Arizona. I'm Melanie. Welcome to the Pueblo Casita. Come on in, let's check it out.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name's Melanie Wagner. I'm an interior stylist and I live here in Tucson, Arizona with my husband Scott and our little dog Major. I would say that our home is very well collected, and I like to call it Arizona Colonial. So I guess I could explain more about what that means as we go along, but I think I'll just leave it at that, Arizona Colonial. So it was a happy accident finding this home. We actually were living somewhere else and wanted to move because we were trying to make a decision for the later years in our life, what city we want to really hunker down in, and we're not sure. The kids are in Austin now, and so we decided we wanted to find something that we could rent that would allow us to have the freedom, to move about the cabin, more or less. It was really great because this is a popular neighborhood and people just snap the things up right away, whether it's for sale or if it's a rental. So I ended up contacting the owner and we kind of started transacting from there. So that's how we found the house. So welcome to our foyer. This is the room that you see when you first walk in the house. And over here, we've got this little moment with the two zebra chairs on either side and this cool little hutch and the Slim Aarons print and the lamps and everything. So the funny thing about the zebra chairs is I've had them probably for about 30 years. And our dear friend in Austin found them for us somewhere in a thrift shop probably. And I want to say we said, just cover them however you want with whatever fabric, because I think they had some really ratty fabric on them. So she picked out this really awesome zebra print, and they've looked that way ever since. And then this cabinet, actually, we purchased when we hadn't been married very long, I think about 5 years, and we needed a piece of furniture that could work in a guest bedroom so we could have a dual purpose room. And so this desk, this is actually Scott's headquarters right here. My husband works from home. But this drops down and you pull these things out and this can be a desk. And then the beauty is that when you want it to look pretty, you just throw all that junk in there and close that baby shut. The lamps, they actually were a Target purchase that I found probably 20 years ago. They used to be in Avery's bedroom when she was like 12. I think I found these lampshades along the way somewhere and just popped those on. And then the Slim Aarons is funny because when we first moved in this house, we actually discovered that we have a lot of blank walls in here, and we needed a lot of really large pieces of art to fill these blank spaces. So I kind of obsessed with Slim Aarons. I love having a blown up photograph. It just kind of has almost like a pop art moment to it or something. And it also makes you feel like you're looking outside, which is also a really cool feature about some of his work. I actually bought the print from Etsy and then took it to Hobby Lobby and had it framed like this. And I want to say, all in, it was a screaming deal. So then I originally purchased this and had it framed to put on this wall over here in the dining room. And when we got it, it just looked terrible. And so we were like, now what do we do? And so Scott, my husband, said, you know what, hun, let's try it up here and see how it'll do. And then we were just like, that's the money shot right there. So this vase is old. I bought it at a florist shop long time ago. You're going to see a lot of these little silver trays around my house. I love silver, and these are actually from the Dollar Tree, these little silver trays. And I love to use them to layer and stuff. So I don't know, maybe someone could spot it from a mile away that it's just a little trinket from the Dollar Tree, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty legit. And then those great flowers fake people out on a regular basis. They're faux. I'm sad I don't know what kind of flowers they are, but I feel like they look great in front of that photograph. It's kind of picking up on the little flowers in the photo. So we're gonna step over here into our little dining area. It was a doozy when we first moved in. When you see these mirrors on the walls, which was a very popular thing. This house was built, I believe, in 1972. So it was a very 70s thing. And when you see a blank room with just these dated mirrors on the wall, you think to yourself, this looks terrible. We decided that we were going to ignore that the mirrors were there, and we just decided that we're just going to place our furniture in here, and it turned out beautifully. As far as all these items, gosh, these chairs are from Restoration Hardware. We've had these for over 20 years. We've had them recovered in this fabric. And this table actually is super sweet to us. It actually was our family kitchen table in an old house that we lived in. I know it's glass and the kids were little, and my friends used to say, how do you keep it clean? And I don't know, I'm obsessed with Windex, I guess. So, but it was our kitchen table, so the kids would come out in their bed head and sit and eat cereal at this table in my old house. So it's a very special little table. And then back here, we've got this console that Scott picked out all of this furniture. He's our furniture guy in this beautiful partnership that we have. He's pretty much picked out all the furniture, to be honest. So he's got really good taste. So this came from somewhere at DeWitt Design, an old place in Tucson that's no longer in business. The lamps are an old Home Goods find. I saw them there. I can't believe they had these like hand-painted lampshades. So I snapped them up. I bought them years and years ago. And the vases down here, the big jars, those are another Home Goods find. I'm trying to think, oh, the Picasso. So the Picasso print, that was another brilliant move that my husband made. Oh gosh, when we were newlywed, he bought an entire living room full of furniture, pretty much behind the scenes. I remember going to help him pick out maybe one thing in that room, but he picked it all out. And this was one of the things that he picked out. He actually had it framed. He picked out the frame, the mat, the everything. And there's something about this piece of art. It just brings a certain energy that you just can't be denied. So it's a really special piece for us. And then around here is just a mirror that we popped on there to try to, well, this was that big blank wall. And actually it's really great. We put a mirror here and you see the reflection of everything in the kitchen. So it's pretty nice. And then we've got some art hanging on the wall here. This was another one of those things where I was drawn to this art because of the colors, but when I finally got it in the house, I couldn't figure out where to hang them. And again, my husband, he's really good at art. He said, "Hon, I think they should go in this little nook here," and perfect. They look really great. I love flowers. You're gonna see I'm a little bit over the top with the flowers. I just love the way they look in the space, but I be honest, I got tired of gladiola shopping every once a week. So I found these faux gladiolas and put the stones in the vase and just poured water in there, and they fake people out every time. I think that I am just forever always attracted to British Colonial. So when you'll see white slip-covered chairs and a lot of ceramics and collected items, that is a signature of a British Colonial home. Also like rattan furniture and a lot of plants. So my eye is naturally drawn to that. And then the Arizona part, I think, is just having some of the Native American pieces, like antique serape that I have. That's actually from Mexico. But just in general, the things from Arizona that you would find on a trip here or something. So I don't know, it's like a mash of the two. just off of the dining room is our living room. And I will say that this room was a challenge to try to figure out how to make it shine. There actually was carpeting wherever you see this kind of sand color floor. It was, I don't know, 10 or 15-year-old carpeting that was in here. And it was all in the hallway and all of the bedrooms as well. So Scott and I knew that we couldn't live with that carpeting. We tried to negotiate and have it pulled out and replaced by the landlord. And actually, he said, no, I'm going to rent you the place as is. Scott and I sometimes can be a little bit derelict, but it turned out good in the end. We had already pulled out carpeting in our other house, and actually the kids are the ones that painted the cement floor. And so we already knew that we could pull it off. And I had photos to show our homeowner. So we went ahead and tore out the carpet, but we kind of did it behind his back. We signed the lease and said, oh, we'll leave the carpet. It's a really funny story. And in the end, he came over. He made a deal with us. He said, listen, go for it. You want to paint the floor? Sounds good to me. But if I come back and I don't like it, when you leave, you will have to replace the carpeting in the house. And we said, okay, fair deal. So we ended up hiring someone. We had them come and demo all the old carpet out. And then Scott and I, we've got some funny videos of the process. But we scraped the glue off and we pulled up the carpet tacks and we repaired a lot of the flaws. And then we had our house painter come over and paint the floors. I got the inspiration for the color of the floor. Scott's the one that found it. We were watching YouTube, it's our favorite thing to watch, and ran across a video of a woman. Her name is Serena Crawford. She's an interior designer and she was based in South Africa. And they showed pictures of her house, and the floors in her house were this color. And I said, that's it. That's the color we want to go for. So we went through a lot of weird stuff to find this color. I went outside and grabbed up some dirt. I found some rocks, for a while it was a parchment bag. And at the end of the day, it was this color here in my vintage blanket. This, I don't know if you can see it, this tan color, and that's the color that we used to paint the floor. We're really happy with the way it turned out, and it really transformed the whole entire house. If you come on in here, we can start talking about the things that are in this room. So we can start with the bookshelves. So this, again, big blank wall. What are we to do? And so Scott, being our furniture guy, he said, we need to have a really big moment here. And so I was actually at my girlfriend's house that I mentioned before. She lives in the neighborhood as well. And she has this same bookcase. It's actually from IKEA. We had so many accessories from the other house. And actually we set them up out here on the dining room table, put them in a big pile. And we just kind of started throwing all this stuff up here. And it just kind of was a mishmash that worked out. On the bottom, we've just got some baskets. I said before, I love baskets. There's some of my husband's journals are all stuffed in here. There's some down here. There's some down here. There's a whole stack here. He fills these books up. It's so beautiful with notes from work and just personal stuff. So we've got those. I have a collection of Veranda magazine. I started subscribing to Veranda, I want to say when I was a newlywed, so 1990. And I actually had a bigger collection of them, and I've moved so many times that a lot of times my husband would be like, are you going to lug those magazines all across to another state? And so I've gotten rid of some of them, but most of them all are here, and it's literally my Bible, so I don't know what I would do without them. I look at them all the time to get ideas. And then on the next shelf here, we've just got some more blue and white pottery and books. And these little terracotta guys, I found those at one of my thrift shops that I shop in. These are some really cool bar glasses that I use as candle holders. And sometimes when I'm having a party, I need to dismantle this whole thing so we can use those cups. But, and then, in here, that's my collection of Mexican pottery. I love that pattern, and it was really fun to find enough plates to kind of fill that space up. And then those are dried artichokes. I dry artichokes all the time. It's a really easy thing to do. And so I've just got a wooden bowl there full of the artichokes. And then up here on this shelf is this cute little guy I found in a thrift shop. The cherub we've had for years. We found it in a little town in Texas on a little vacation we were on. My grandmother was an artist. She was a very talented seamstress and a very creative person. And she painted many paintings, and they're kind of spread out through the family. So that is one of her paintings. I love it. These guys, I love these that's another thing too. You're gonna see terracotta all over the place in my house. It's one of my favorite things. These I got down in South Tucson. If any Tucson people out there know about South Tucson, if you don't go and do errands in South Tucson, you're missing out. So there is a grocery store there. I'm going to butcher how to say it, but El Supra is the grocery store, and that is where I found these awesome bases. This is actually not a real plate. This is a piece of paper that I printed out on my computer just because I really want those plates, but I haven't been able to find them, and so I just printed out a deal. It's a little trick I have. These are just dried choya that I'm sure we picked up at Spino Canyon on a walk or something like that. And then up on the top shelf are just some books. Those are some buoys, I believe. Those books and those buoys are Avery's belongings, and I think we're gonna duke it out. We tend to fight over whose stuff is in this bookshelf. So, here's another painting. My grandmother, she painted that little guy. And this is a very special little lantern that came from the Arizona Inn. So it's a beautiful historic inn here in Tucson. And on Scott and I's anniversary, since we got married there, we typically will go there, and we try to give each other gifts that either remind us of the Arizona Inn or like an Arizona themed gift for our anniversary. So one year I went to the Arizona Inn, I went in the gift shop and asked if I could buy one of those lamps. And they sure enough sold me one and two. I think there's one in the other room too. So those are really special. They're there at the Arizona Inn in the main dining room, sitting on the dining room tables there, and they have them placed all over the place. So those are really special. So the chairs came into our life. We lived in Houston at the time, and I found them at the Antique Guild. They were covered in this really groovy looking fabric, and we decided to just throw some white slip covers over them. So they turned out to be the most comfortable chairs. I really got lucky with those. The pillows are just pillows that I ordered the covers from Etsy. The coffee table, that's another score. Scott found that for our living room. We've had it in all the houses we've been in. We've got a little bar table set up here with a fabulous little collection of, our favorite little things there. The funny thing about these lamps is that the lamp over there and this lamp used to have the lampshades I switched. And that is a really good trick, to switch around lampshades to give your lamps a different look. What I love most about this room is it is a culmination of all of the things that I mentioned earlier, the Arizona Colonial vibes that I have going, because you have elements of Mexican Talavera, like in the vase. There's a vase down here, Mexico, the vintage blanket, but also the British Colonial thing. So the chinoiserie big jars, one of these garden seats, the wicker, the rattan is a really good example. And then I've got these really special Native American pieces of art that kind of tie in the Southwestern. I've got my little pieces of choya. You know, those are things you find out in the desert. So it's a good representation of all of those things. It's kind of interesting. The room that I felt was the most dismal when we moved in here is actually my favorite room now. And it is what I like to call the TV lounge. And I think it's my favorite because it's styled more like a garden room, but it's a really dark room. And so it's a great room to watch TV. So it's where we hang out at night and we spend a lot of time in there. So it's just a very comfortable little spot. So my favorite home design tip is to incorporate colorization in your home and working. Sometimes you have fixed colors. For instance, bathroom tile, kitchen cabinet colors, and you need to work with that. And so colorize around those items when you're out sourcing and selecting things for your home. Keep in mind what that color story is in the room that you're working on. So we're gonna sneak on into our kitchen. The kitchen is something that makes me very happy. It did not used to look like this. So when we first moved in, it had these cabinets, but they were dark brown, the original cabinets from 1972 or whatever. And there was some Formica countertops, a teeny little sink that I called an RV sink. It literally was about this deep, and mismatched appliances, and I mean, it really needed to be shined up. So we just recently transformed it back in November. It took quite some time to figure out what we wanted to do. I actually wanted to paint them brown because they were like fake wood grain cabinets. But anyway, we decided to paint them white, and the hardware you see is the original hardware that was on there, and we just kind of freshened them up. They had gotten, you know, like shabby, and so we just put a new little coat of matte black paint. I installed this deeper sink, and we've got this faucet called a bridge faucet that, I don't know, it's just very traditional. Again, it's kind of like the English colonial part of my vibes. Well, I should say that I've got the kitchen accessorized this way because mainly I like my stuff, and so you might as well just make it a moment. It's funny, I've had these baskets on either side of my sink for years and years to hold my kitchen linens in. These books have a really great story behind them. When I was a little girl, my mother subscribed to Women's Day magazine, and they had a special. You went into the grocery store and you could buy these books, and it's an encyclopedia of cookery. And so when I was a little girl at home in the summer, I was bored and I would pull those cookbooks out and I would find an ingredient in the refrigerator, and one of them was cantaloupe. It was frozen cantaloupe or something like that. But anyway, so they're not my mother's books. She sadly got rid of them, but I went on eBay and found the exact books so that I could have them in my own kitchen. This is a really special piece of art that our daughter Avery made for me. It's kind of a little tribute to the things that I love. So I love baking and cooking, and so it's got those little recipes there. But the ribbon is something that I actually did win. I entered the Pima County Fair a couple of years ago, and there was a tablescaping category, and I got the blue ribbon for that. So it was a fun little moment, and she made that for me. Over here, we've got this painting that we call it My Little Pony. If you can see, there's a little pony there. My husband picked this out. He fell in love with this painting, and we actually had it outside for a while, and then when we remodeled the kitchen, we placed it there. So I've had people comment to me and say, but how can you have that painting on your cooktop? Doesn't it make a mess? Well, it's not hanging. It's just leaning here. So when I need to do my heavy-duty Italian girl cooking, I just take it off and put it in the other room so it won't get messed up. This had a dated backsplash tile that we demoed out. We just kept drywall up here. I like the drywall in here. It makes it feel like a room instead of like a kitchen. I don't know. And I don't know, it just gives it kind of a different vibe. So I put the mirror here because, you know, typically you'll have a kitchen sink that faces out to a window or to a room. And this one just faces a wall. So the beauty is I stand in front of the mirror and I get to see my little pony back there when we're washing dishes. So it's a pretty sweet deal. This is a found table. Now, this is definitely Avery's table and chairs. She picked this out, and someday I won't get to have it anymore. She'll eventually move it into her place. But this was an old commercial kitchen table from a Mexican restaurant here in Tucson. And the gals that we bought it from think that it was from like the 1950s, and they made tortillas on the table because it's got like a big dip right here and right here. You can really see a big dip from them making the tortillas. So that's a pretty amazing piece. I threw our dog Major's bed underneath there. He would be in here with us, but he's got stage fright terribly bad, so he's at a friend's house. But anyway, he likes to snuggle up there. Here's that other Arizona Inn lantern. This is my office, actually. I have a lot of my paperwork and stuff in this closet, and I sit here on the computer, can look at the window. We've got a really good view out this window, so and this room has a lot of really great light. So, and I can talk to my husband when he's at his little headquarters in there. We can talk to each other. So I don't know what it is. It just seems a lot more vibey when you're sitting at a counter height table like this. So, oh, and I should say that these pillow covers, I got these at Hobby Lobby. These were literally $5 or something like that at Hobby Lobby. But I feel like they go with those canvas chairs so well. The funny thing is about this shelf, boy, did I have a vision that I wanted to have a metal plate shelf. And let me tell you, they're really hard to find. And just magically one day I was at one of our favorite places, Gather, here in Tucson, and mentioned that's what I was looking for. And sure enough, they went in the back and brought it out, and it couldn't be more perfect. So I think I've driven everyone in the family crazy how many times I've restyled these shelves, because I love dishes. I love little bookcase styling moments. And so I kept doing things over and over and over. But I finally landed on this combo, again, with the Mexican Talavera mixed with the chamoiserie, the British Colonial blue and white dishes. I don't know. It goes together so well. Oh, here's another fake plate. Stuck it right here. This chair came, my husband and I were on our 10-year anniversary, and we honeymooned in San Francisco, and we went back on our 10-year anniversary, and we did the typical, let's go to the wine country. So we drove out to the wine country. I think we got there a little too early because nothing was open, and we passed a furniture store that looked fabulous on the way to the winery, and it wasn't open yet. So we thought, oh, we'll hit it when we come back. So we proceeded to go to one winery. I think we got pretty high on really cheap wine and decided we're done with the wine country. Let's go back and go furniture shopping. So we went to the furniture store, and we ended up spending, oh my gosh, we bought a whole living room full of furniture, because at the time we had a house that was a blank space. This chair is one of those things that we bought that day, and a big pine coffee table that I have in another house. Avery has it in her house. And the kids sat in those little chairs. There's another stool. I can maybe find it in the house, but they sat and colored at that table. So welcome to our little patio home garden. We love this little spot. We come out here all the time to enjoy all the plants and flowers. We've got patio furniture that we've had for at least 25 years out here. They were a Home Depot score that my husband bought. And we recently had them painted black. We got the paint to paint the window frames inside the house, and we had so much paint left over that we decided to paint this furniture, and it really shined it up really nice. Oh, this is a funny story. So this console table, actually Scott bought, and he thought he was going to place it on the back side of the sofa in the living room as a sofa table. And when we got it in there, we just thought it looked terrible. So at the time, this whole wall was just blank. And so we stuck it here. And then I just started grabbing stuff from around the house. It's kind of nice to have this tub out here for extra water and stuff if we have parties. We've got this plant at the grocery store, and it was about this big 2 years ago. And now it looks like this. It's so happy here. It's crazy. The table is another oldie but goodie. We've had so many birthday parties and Thanksgiving buffet set on the table. And so this table is a big table. And when we first moved in here, we thought, what are we going to do with this big table? And brilliant Scott, he was like, let's put it outside. And we sit out here and eat all the time. I've got some more of my little terracotta Hobby Lobby specials here. You'll see it everywhere. There's a great collection of it out on the patio there, my terracotta collection. So over here is a really cool moment. I've got this gorgeous wicker lamp. Didn't have a lampshade. Hijacked a lampshade off another lamp, stuck it on here, so it worked out. And this is just an old chest we've had many years, and it's actually a really handy piece of furniture to have out here. I have it stuffed with a lot of linens and tablecloths and things like that. The art came from a calendar that we bought in some gift shop in San Clemente, California. Could it get any more cheesy than that? But I mean, sometimes when you're a tourist, right, you buy these things. And Scott had the idea that he wanted to have them framed. So we went ahead and took them, again, Hobby Lobby. But anyway, we took them there and we had them framed. And the beauty is that the calendar had, 12 beautiful florals. So as we go, we're going to have the rest of them framed with these really cool tortoise frames and probably throw them on that wall or something like that. So one of the things that is important about these spaces is that this kind of feels like a room. And so I actually have my slipcover chairs out here. They coordinate with my slipcover stuff out there. And then we have jute rugs. We have one out here. We also have one inside under the dining table to really make it feel like a room instead of just like your back porch. Okay, so let me just take you over to this spot in the garden. When we moved in here, none of the ground cover or the rocks were here. Obviously, the furniture wasn't here. All there were these beautiful trees and a bunch of dirt. And so slowly but surely, we've transformed everything. And I knew I wanted to have a table back on this wall so that when I look out, you'll see when we go inside, that's my bedroom window right there, and I like to look out onto something pretty. So we were able to find that really cool table. And we found it at Gather. It was a really gonga deal. And then I just knew I wanted to have topiaries, and luckily I found some. They're really hard to find in Tucson, actually. If you go to California, they're everywhere. And geraniums are my favorite flowers, so we always have geraniums. In the dead of winter, our flowers go dormant, but it still is beautiful and green out here. Okay, step on into our guest room. This room originally, I thought I was going to use as my office. And then Scott was like, but hun, what happens when we have the kids over? Where are they going to sleep? And I was like, oh yeah, I thought we got rid of the kids. No, just kidding. So we decided to go ahead. And plus we had this beautiful bed. And so we thought, well, you know what? We don't want to put this bed in storage or anything like that. So actually, because this bed, Scott had commissioned for us years and years ago. And it's been, he designed it, I believe, and everything. It's as solid as a rock metal bed. So this is kind of an interesting moment over here. The table that is underneath this tablecloth is a beautiful table. It has drop leaf. It's kind of like a desk. And I put it in here and it just felt like it was too brown. So these are not tablecloths, they're actually curtain panels from my old house. And I thought they were going to be a placeholder. And then I kind of decided that I liked them, so they've stayed. But and then on the table there, I love turquoise, so I've got my jewelry there. Got the little lamps. That's another Target find. The painting is really special. It's of Carmel. That is where Scott and I honeymooned. We started in San Francisco and ended up in Carmel. And that's a beautiful painting of Carmel that we found at Gather. When I found the painting, it didn't even have a frame. And I thought, well, we love the painting, so hopefully a frame will come my way. And then Gather's only open once a month, and I went to the next market, and sure enough, found the blank frame, and it fit perfect. So that's a pretty sweet deal. I really love these books. These books I found, thrifted these books. They're a whole series on the builders of America. So my husband is a huge American history buff, and the fact that they were covered in green, but they were also about all the presidents and leaders of America, I thought was really cool. So we have those books there. The bedding is just a mishmash of stuff. Honestly, Target, shout out to the Target stuff. The blanket is from there and the sheets. And oh, these are fun. Avery worked at a beautiful interior design store called Biscuit Home in Houston when she first got out of college. And they wanted to train her on the monogram machine. So she came home, she said, Mom, do we have anything that I can practice monogramming on? So I said, here, take those Euroshams. And so she monogrammed them with that monogram. And she thought that they looked terrible, and I loved them. And so there they are. This is a sweet little block print pillow that came from, believe it or not, like a women's fashion boutique, and it came with actually the coverlet that's on the sofa in my living room came with it. So this is a beautiful piece here that we just found at Gather. Again, those guys are great. I find so much stuff there. The Arizona Inn print is a really special piece. As I said, we were married at the Arizona Inn, and if you go to the inn, in the lobby is the original piece of this art, and it's actually a beautiful 3D piece of art. There's a lot of texture on it, and they decided to run prints of it. So we've had that framed, and it's just our little, Arizona Inn thing. I think that the one thing that I would point out when I talk about florals is I love to use the natural things that you can just find out in the yard. So my friend has the oleander. They grow all over the neighborhood too. So I clipped a bunch of blossoms, so that's oleander. And this is just from a palm. And it just, I don't know, again, it's that mixture of bringing in kind of the Arizona mixed with the colonial stuff in here. So now we can go to the TV lounge. So this is our little hangout spot. This is our TV room. This is the darkest room in the house, no doubt. And so we knew right away that we didn't want to use it for anything else other than a TV room. The house doesn't have a lot of other living areas, and we knew we needed this room to watch TV. I don't like to have a big TV out in the middle of the living room, but we also needed this room to accommodate guests or our kids. So this is a day bed. You pull all those pillows off and it becomes like a twin size bed. This little coverlet that Avery got in Rocky Point, that's down in Mexico. So again, some of the Mexican textiles mixed in here with the chinoiserie and the rattan, and the botanical prints were a really happy accident. I found the prints thrifting, and then I went ahead and found those floating acrylic frames, and they just kind of went together perfectly. Scott, however, wanted to divorce me over hanging those pieces of art. It's really hard to line that stuff up. I'm like, oh, honey, just do it. Just put it up there. We've got some more of the beautiful Talavera dish, the lamps. These are actually just storage baskets from Pottery Barn, and I needed side tables in here, and they were the right height, so I just stacked them on top of each other's set on the other side. These light sconces that actually I found in, it seemed like an alley or something. It was like a miracle that I found them. I think I found them at a thrift shop. And there's something about them that just transformed the TV. You know, the TV's kind of big. Everyone thinks, you know, TV's too big. But I think that if you scale it right with things around it, it's not such an eyesore. It's funny, I mentioned earlier about colorization. I don't have any blue in this room, so I have blue in the other rooms, but not in this room. And it is mainly because of the daybed that I had to work with. And then when I found this art, oh, also, I forgot about these. These pillows came from the sofa that we bought when we went on that crazy tour of the wine country. We bought a sofa too, and it was covered in this fabric. This is the only thing, the sofa's still out there covered with a white slipcover, but these are the pillows that were on it. And so that was part of my color story in this room too, because I really love those pillows. I love that I've had them forever. And so that's why I don't have blue. I mean, blue doesn't really fit into this room, so that's why it's not there. So now we can take a peek into the bathroom here. This is another good example of colorization. This bathroom has a big backsplash moment in the shower, and when it was empty with nothing in it, it really looked like something that was going to be impossible to work with. But I didn't want to paint it. You know, I'm renting. I didn't want to demo it. So I went ahead and found a book. It's by Virginia Johnson. She's a watercolorist, and it is depicting scenes from France. And I just thought that this color, I don't know, I found it in so much of the pages of the book. Also, these are watercolors from the Arizona Inn, and we've collected these over the years. Again, my husband and I give them to each other as gifts on our anniversary. So that was another part of, like, the book, and those kind of went together. It's just a regular mirror underneath what looks like tile, but it actually is not tile. I ordered a tile that I really loved and wished that I could install, and took it to a print shop and had them scan the tile, and then they printed it onto stickers. And then we just stuck the stickers on the mirror and put some little jute trim around it, and it really like livened it up. Also under here, you can see there's my sexy brown cabinets. They're down there. But I didn't want that to show, so I went ahead. I had some leftover fabric. It was a miracle from the dining room chairs, and went ahead and got my sewing machine out, and I've got videos to prove it, and sewed this little skirt. It's a very European type of vibe, and I thought that it just really dressed up the bathroom. This is actually the original Formica, but honestly, I don't mind it. It's a pretty color. It looks like stone. And then I replaced the faucets and the light fixture in here. This is only used for baths, so I don't need to have a waterproof shower curtain here. We just take baths in here. And these are actually linen curtain panels. They're from Target, that were hanging in my house somewhere else. And I went ahead and thought, I don't like shower curtains that are just closed or pushed to the side. I think I like to dress it more like it looks like a window. So I've done this for years, and so I put these on both sides, and then I got this trim, because I love trim. Again, another Hobby Lobby find that I just sewed on there. Okay, so welcome to our master bedroom. This is kind of a very sweet little moment. So again, big blank walls, lots of blank walls. What do we do? Also, in my never-ending quest to want to design and redesign, I really hope to one day have a pink bedroom. And ironically enough, my husband is on board. He loves pink. So he knew that we needed a piece of art here. We had this blank frame that was a mess. It was really dirty. It had a bunch of water stains on it, and it didn't have any art in it. And sure enough, Scott cleaned up the frame and painted this painting as a surprise gift for me. So it's kind of like future forecast of our bedroom is going to be pink someday. So come on in here. We've got our bed is a really cool find. It's kind of hard to have a king size bed that doesn't overwhelm a space. And I knew I wanted it to be a canopy style. And so this is a Wayfair find. This is a bargain bed. Unbelievable deal. The bedding and stuff is just a mishmash of things that I've been using in different ways. I mean, some of the pillows have been used in other rooms and things like that. I will say that the mattress ticking blanket is one of my prized possessions. It's a Pendleton blanket. I love Pendleton blankets, and I never get sick of ticking stripes. So it's funny. I could be so attached to something, but I'm very attached to that blanket. So in here is this beautiful cabinet. We found this at Gather, and we fretted about, well, it was Scott that did. He was like, how are you going to fill that up and not make it look like a china cabinet? And I said, oh, don't worry, just leave that to me. So I went ahead and ran down to the Goodwill and found the books. These are some more of those Builders of America books that were from the other room. But I had those green books, so I knew, again, colorization, I knew I wanted to style it with green. And of course, the terracotta, I love terracotta. I had all those pots out in the yard, and I just pulled them in and put them up there. Oh, and here's another one of my fake plate tricks in here. There's another fake one. So someday I'm going to have the real ones. When I find them out in the world, I'll have them there. There's something cool with the candles that are going in there. People are like, how can you have candles inside a closed cabinet? So it's just those remote candles, and you just turn them off with the remote, and then at night we get in bed, I turn off all the lights, and then we have these on, and it's really romantic. So I love my little candle hack there. So this table is an oldie but a goodie. It's an old Ballard Designs. It really helps to have a glass top on these round tables. I love a skirted table because you can switch out the fabric when you get sick of it. So before back in the 90s, I had some really fancy schmancy thing on here, and now it's just this really cool jute with the fringe. Table skirt, the leopard lamps, Home Goods fine, at least 25 years ago. And again, I did the switcheroo with the lampshades, and I had some other lamps and took those off and put them on there. So that's that over there. And then I've got the little vanity area over here. That is another Hobby Lobby mirror find there. Some more of the beautiful oleander flowers, so I can have a pop of pink. At least I can have pink with my flowers in here. And someday I'll have fabric and all the fun stuff. We've got this beautiful casement window, and this is what I was talking about. There's a beautiful view out from this window. And so you should have seen the window coverings that were on these windows were those vertical, rental ones on all the windows. So we ripped them down and went ahead and put in these rattan shades that are super easy to pull down. And then I also installed behind here a blackout shade. So we can just black things out or have the filtered light. So I really love having the combination of both of those things. Oh gosh, home means everything to me. It is a place where I can be my most creative self without any judgment from anyone. It's like a blank canvas, and I'm constantly putting paint on it. So it's also a place where, we've had great moments with our family members, our kids, our dog. it's a safe place. So home is everything to me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.